What's up, Bill? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Danny, welcome. How's the cough? Still terrible. No improvement, unfortunately. Um, Going back to the doctor tomorrow. My girlfriend guessed, she's about to go into medical school. She guessed it was some type of bronchitis. But we will see. I'll go back to the doctor tomorrow, see what's going on. Hopefully, they have some better answers for me. Definitely annoying, but it is what it is. I'm doing everything I can to get better, but it's been like 2 months, so I'm leaning towards just uh, ignoring it. Hope everybody's doing well today. All right, let's start some Q&A. What kind of questions you guys got for me? See some more people talking on TikTok, YouTube. Let's go ahead and get some questions going. Happy to answer anything you guys got for me. This is just open Q&A time. Not a lot on Instagram, unfortunately, but yeah, let's go through some questions. Jack, welcome. Josh, Ryan, Black Cat. Nice. What's been your top 3 lead generations? So, Jack, why don't you tell me what kind of leads that you are sorry, what kind of leads you're interested in? You talking like finding good MLS deals, good off market? You're talking like being a real being a realtor, finding clients. What kind of lead generation are you looking to generate? Happy to answer. Hello, Lena. Welcome, gorgeous. Samuel, welcome. I remember you from last time. Ivan on TikTok said, "You buy your properties on MLS?" Most of the time, it's MLS. I think people really underestimate MLS. Off market is just okay sometimes, but a lot of the time you'll notice that off market is really just for like people who don't want to deal with closing costs and such, and agent fees, etc., which is fine. But then they also don't discount it that much, anyways. What's up, Luik? Damn, it's like almost 1 a.m. for you. Jack said, talking about clients, what seems to be your best use of time lead generation wise? Got a lot of people coming from social media. Socials definitely the biggest one. Anyone that gets to my YouTube channel, I mean, they're my favorite, right? They're so nice to interact with. They're really knowledgeable. So yeah. Ivan said everyone hypes off market, and it makes every makes it seem like everything on MLS is a bad deal. Yeah, MLS is fine. Like MLS is, I think almost every deal ever done has been on MLS with us. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of MLS. What did I gross annually? I actually just did the math on this because my accountant needs to file my taxes by like Monday. For 2025, I made 326,781 and some cents. Yeah, for gross. That was my gross. So that combines a bunch of different income streams. Obviously, my net is not that much. On YouTube, how long is the process on average in the market to invest in after buying the property and getting Section 8 registered? I think you mean, well, the part of the process on average that takes the longest is the Section 8 registration. So, yeah, I think that you may need to reword that. I think it's better to say, like, how long does the general process take? Which is as soon as you close, right? Day you close. If it's mostly turnkey, then you'll end up getting maybe a week to do rehab, right? Just a little stuff, handyman stuff. Then start advertising immediately. We usually can get a solid tenant picked out within 1 to 2 weeks. And yeah, past that, it's really just getting them into Section 8, which takes around 2 weeks to 4 weeks, then getting them moved in. But if it's a BRRRR, obviously, like, that's a lot longer, for sure. Do you work with people that have filed a Chapter 7 discharge 3 to 4 years ago? It really depends what it's for, unfortunately. Like I can't really give a hard answer to that. Like we would have to do a full background check, full credit check to really see what is the reason for the bankruptcy, as well as, you know, what it was originating from, how it's been handled since then. It gets tricky. I'm not saying it's not possible. Like, for example, if it's like AT&T from, you know, 4 years ago and it's already paid off now, something like that, then yeah, it's fine. Or if it's like your own business that failed and it was in a completely different niche, then it's probably fine. But I just can't give an answer to that until we get a loan application, check everything, because I work with my lender pretty exclusively and very closely, so we'd have to do the full background and everything in order to get a clear answer on that. Otherwise, you need a cosigner. How do you determine who's the best client for tenancy? Do you follow a checklist or teach in the mentoring? I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely teach in the mentoring how to, you know, screen properly, but I don't gatekeep info. The way we do it is biggest thing that I see people mess up on is two things. Number one, they price it too high originally, and then weeks later they bump it down, which just makes it look bad because it's been sitting on market so long. Definitely you should price it appropriately from day one. And if you just get a lot of people interested, then up it by $50, right? Do the opposite. But don't price it too high originally. That's the biggest thing that I see people mess up on. Second biggest, they just aren't really optimized for like viewers. You guys have to realize, right? It's not just listing a home, it's marketing. You're now in the marketing field very temporarily. So you need to have good pictures, have a good SEO description for keywords, stuff like that. In terms of like, what do we check for background? We do everything through RentSpree. Costs $50. We do like the super advanced screening. And then we check, big thing is we just check past references. That's huge. So we call previous landlords, previous property managers, see payment history, stuff like that. And then we can even do an at-home interview. I'll usually have a handyman. Sorry, my throat's like rough right now. Have a handyman go out, or realtor go see their current place of residence and see how they're currently living. Those are huge swaying factors. And of course, I teach that in the mentorship as well. On Instagram, how do you handle foreign investors? Is 35% down payment? Somewhere between 25 and 35. Unfortunately, there's not exactly a like hard number that I can say. The reason being that every home has different DSCR ratios, right? That's how these DSCR ratio or loans get approved, based on the DSCR ratio. It has to be at least 1.25x. But basically, the better the deal, the better the cash flow. Potentially, the lower the down payment can be, right? Or I'm sorry, lower the down payment, because they want you to borrow more because you have the leeway, right, to make your loan size bigger. Whereas it could be the opposite, right? Maybe you can't have that because you're right at 1.25x. Then maybe they need you to put down 35% in order to get the cash flow being better. So it really is just deal to deal dependent, somewhere between 25 and 35. And almost always minimum purchase price of like 85K at least. I will say a lot of foreigners, they just do BRRRRs because private money doesn't have these restrictions. It's 10% down for private money. So a lot of the foreign investors end up just doing BRRRRs instead, which is fine. I mean, I can handle BRRRRs. See a lot of questions on TikTok. Let me get to those. Man, there's a lot. I'll start off with the latest from TikTok. How did you start and how do you recommend starting? I started by essentially gambling my parents' retirement money. That's not a joke. So my parents are not like rich or anything like that. In fact, we had like the classic immigrant story, unfortunately. They owned a gas station and I worked at it every single day since I was like 11 years old. It really sucked. That they worked very hard and we were just kind of in an unfortunate predicament until eventually we sold the gas station. That was the only asset we had. We had nothing else. We sold it, and all of the money, basically, I invested for them. Got my real estate license here in Virginia, invested it for them, and it worked out really well because I'm a good investor, turns out. That was 4 years ago, and yeah, it's just been steady scaling since then. So I also ended up, of course, getting my own properties along the way. Was selling homes normally as a licensed realtor. That also helped supplement my income, also paid my way through college, etc. Do you have any clients looking to buy a lot of residential land? Not really, if I'm being honest. I mean, we're buying homes, not necessarily the land specifically. I mean, obviously the land comes with the purchase, of course. But if you mean like building homes or just finding land in general, no, I don't really have any clients looking to just buy the land itself. We're looking at, homes that are 80, 90K in the Midwest, sometimes 100, sometimes 30, depending on if you're doing a BRRRR. Hard work pays off. Thank you. Do you have a requirement on when the house was built? No, not really. The main reason I like to say it's like comparing it to building a computer, which is if you buy a house, right, from 1910, old house, over 100 years old. But what if the HVAC was replaced 10 years ago, the roof was replaced 5 years ago, the plumbing was replaced 7 years ago, like it's no longer the original house. The only thing that might be the same is like the foundation, but even then that there's a decent chance that even was like fixed, right? Some epoxy. So it's like building a computer, right? If you build a computer, 2 years later you replace the CPU, 4 years later GPU, 3 years after that upgrade the motherboard, it's no longer the same computer. So what I care about a lot more is what the current status of all of the, big ticket items are. And you can find that out by just inquiring, if they don't know, home inspection. On YouTube, if someone had 200K, do you recommend buying multiple properties at a time if it's a good deal, or one at a time? I would say you can buy multiple at a time, just probably not portfolios. Portfolios are nice when you have like stupid money, like dummy amounts of money, and like a huge team behind you. Otherwise, I would probably just do like 5 single families at once, separate single families, separate deals. But you could do them at the same time. That's fine. I net about a third of the properties, and I think that's totally normal too. Anyone saying they net like $700 a property, 800 a property is lying to you. On Instagram, would you suggest solely focusing on states in the Midwest? You can really focus on any state that has the inventory in the price range that you want. So if your price range is 200K, then look at anywhere that has enough inventory in the 200K range. I think that's a very big thing. You need to make sure that you have the inventory, because if there's only 10 homes that are 200K in the city you're interested in, you're losing the deals. You're gonna get beaten by all cash investors, corporations, or even if you can snag one, next year the price will be higher. I do not make 30K profit. No. In fact, even the little title card says gross. Very big difference. If I made 30K profit, I probably would disappear to a faraway land with my girlfriend and cat. I'm only 22. Like, it's borderline impossible to have 30K a month net, just from properties at 22. Like, you got to have some serious daddy's money or something to get that done. Nah, no problem, no problem. I actually get asked that quite a bit. It's okay. How long do you think it would take to profit like 5K from rentals? So each turnkey rental will net you about 300, and this also answers Corey's question. Each property will net you $350 to $500 roughly. That's turnkey. Each turnkey deal costs about 25K. So that from there you can kind of do the math on that, right? 5K month net is going to be, what is that, like 20 properties? Let me do the math. Like 15 properties, and that's on like the super low end. 14 properties, yeah, between 14, like maybe 11 to 14 to get 5K month net. I think that about is accurate. On YouTube, how feasible is it under your mentorship to scale it in 12 months to 10 doors? Is that possible? It's possible as long as you have the money to do so, and as long as you're on top of things. Like I always say in my mentorship, I move as fast as you do. So if you're taking a week to reply to me, a week to reply to your realtor, you're gonna get one deal done in a year. But if you're on top of your things, on on top of everything, answering within hours, same day at least, following my instructions, we could do 10 in a year. That's fine. No problem. We'll just do multiple at once, But otherwise, you have to really be on top of things. You have to be paying attention, at least 2 hours a day, committing. So if you're serious about it, join the mentorship. But if you're like, nah, I'm not gonna take this seriously, I don't want to spend the time, etc., then I can't promise any results. I have a ton of people that end up booking calls and stuff like that with my team, They're like, I want 20 properties in a year, and I'm like, okay, how much money do you have? Then they say like, oh, I have a decent amount of money, and I go, great, okay. How much time do you have? And they're like, I have none. 1 hour a week at best. And I'm like, it's not possible. We can get you one house in a year. We're not hitting your goal. Because I'm very open and honest about what it takes to get to the position of us, being a good investor. I want to start Section 8 investing combined with burring a good Section 8 market. How much money do I need to start for my first house to get the ball rolling? If you're using private money, somewhere between 12 to 17, kind of just depending on the deal. But you should have 20 because they're probably going to want reserve funds. But you'll probably use 12 to 17. How much is the mentorship? Between 4 and 6K. It's like 6K if you want, doing burrs, right? Because like I mentioned, this isn't like a PowerPoint that I'm sending you or like a YouTube playlist and I leave you alone. It's not that. It's literally one-on-one with me. Like it's not really, the way you're thinking. Like I literally work as a consultant in this capacity. So between 4 and 6K, 4K, if it's something, you don't need a ton of assistance. You only want 1 or 2 homes. They're turnkey, you just want to get your feet wet. You need your whole handheld for 6 months. Okay. 6K if you want, that aggressive scaling, you want to do a burr, something like that. Could you have unlimited DSCRs as you buy properties? Yeah, actually, that's the main reason people like DSCR, including myself. There's no cap. Conventional is usually 10 homes, but DSCR has no cap on how many properties you can buy. As long as you got the money, that's all they care about. Man, my throat is not doing too well. Finally going to the doctor again tomorrow, which is nice. D said, I got 60K ready for rentals, interested in mentorship. How many rentals do you think I can get with it? D, it kind of depends. Do you want you want turnkey or you want burrs? If you want burrs, then each one takes 12 to 17K, meaning you could get 4 with 60K. If you want turnkeys, you could probably get 3. More like 2, and then having a lot of change left over, actually. Honestly, they're both good strategies. Like, I'm never gonna knock one more than the other. I think they have their own pros and cons. Pro of turnkey is it's easy, right? So much less time commitment, so much less risk, but in return, 25K. I like to think of it this way. Turnkey is a lot like investing in the stock market. You dump your money, you never look at it again. You never touch it again. You will get a steady, $350 to $500 a month net to your bank account every month. Whereas burr is a lot more like a side hustle, like a part-time job, where higher risk, more time commitment, but in return, only 12 to 17K needed per house, and that's assuming you use lending. If you buy it in cash or using some type of line of business credit, for example, it could be under 10. So yeah, I would say it's really whichever your preference is. I can assist with either. It's really a lot of its preference. Pretty good questions. Sorry if I missed a few. I have like 3 chats that I'm trying to keep an eye on. On YouTube, with turnkey, how much reserve do you need to cover any minor repairs with a DSCR loan? I would say there's 3 different price brackets for turnkey home repairs, right? Because no home is actually turnkey. That's a myth. They only look turnkey. If your home is below 70K, put aside 10 grand for repairs. I've noticed any home under 70 almost always needs like 10K. Like there's something wrong with it. If it's between 70 and like, I'd say, 75 and 85 to 90, put aside like, like 7K. If it's above 90, like 2K. Above 90 in the markets we're in are pretty decent homes. Jordan said on Instagram, go check out at PJL. I can't click the link right now, or else it'll close out the live stream. I also don't click links, like on a cybersecurity safety point. But feel free to like DM me one of his videos. I'll take a look. What's the monthly net? Somewhere between 10 to 13, around there. Like I'm very transparent. I do not make 30K a month from rentals. I don't. If I did, I would be very, very, very happy. But it's more like a third, around there. maybe a little higher, slightly higher, about a third. Like 33 to 40% is my net. What other questions we got? Sorry I'm coughing so much. I can't really help it. If I could stop coughing, I would. Why Section 8 rentals over just standard multifamily? Multifamilies are such a management headache. We had a multifamily home. It's such a headache. Like cops being called over noise complaints, parking disputes where they'd contact the landlord over and over. If one toilet breaks all three sewer lines, like it's terrible. It's just such a hard management headache. Technically, like on paper, your cash flow is higher with multis, but in reality, because you're spending so much more time, right? Your time is money. You know, everyone has an hourly rate because of how much more time you're spending on the property, and because of how much repairs are, it ended up making less money than just our single family Section 8s. When you say averaging 300 to 500 per door, is that the net amount after expenses? Yes, it is. After maintenance, after reserves. I'm sorry, not reserves. After maintenance, after vacancy, after insurance, after taxes, after interest. Yeah, 350 to 500. What's my feeling about duplexes? I think multis, in my investing opinion, is only good for house hacking. I think if you can buy it to live in one unit, rent out the others, great way to save money. Otherwise, as pure investments you don't live in, I'm just always going to stick with single families. Always single family Section 8s. Yeah, I've been doing appointment setting for around 5 months now. I was curious to know if you had any remote appointment setter positions available. I think we have them all filled, but we can definitely keep your info for sure. If you want to message, I'll type it in the chat for you. Message that dude in case you're interested in appointment setting. You send me his video. Let me take a look. Let's see. If it's like a link, I'm just not gonna press it, unfortunately. But let's look. I don't see it. Jordan. Oh, I got it. I got it. Okay, I can click this. Let's look. I immediately have a dislike of anyone trying to flex their lifestyle. Like, it's just immediately such a turn off for me. Like, he says 0 to 100 units in 2 years. I don't think that's realistic for the average person. To be fair, I don't know enough about this guy. This is my very first time I'm ever seeing this guy. This Preston guy. He could be legit, he might not be, but I'm just not a big fan of having Bentleys on my homepage. I think it's a bad look. I think instead of showing Bentleys, show proof that you own the homes. That's why in every single YouTube video I've ever uploaded, one of the very first things I show in the first 10 seconds is literally my bank statements. Obviously blurred for like the important bits, but you can see, my actual bank statements on YouTube. I think it's very important that transparency exists when you are investing in something that affects other people, like real estate, right? Where a single mom's going to move into your property, a veteran is going to move into your property. If you don't know how to handle it, or you were misled by someone, it's going to hurt multiple people, not just me, the mentor, for giving bad advice, not just someone else. It's going to hurt multiple people. So yeah, I don't know enough about this guy to give a firm answer, but I do not like the flexing type of thing. That's just not really something I enjoy. I'm a big fan of proof. I like proof. All right, what else? On YouTube, do you make sure the areas you look at first to purchase property has Section 8 open and not closed? Florida has many closed. Ironically, closed isn't a bad thing. A lot of time when they say closed, that means they have too many applicants, like too many voucher holders that don't have homes. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you should just call them and directly say, hey, do you need landlords still? So many people are always flashing bling instead of what's important to see. Yeah. I have a firm belief, something that I've held true from the beginning, back when even I was 4 years ago making YouTube videos about how to be a realtor, how to buy homes. My first Section 8 tutorial was almost 4 years ago at this point on YouTube, and I was making zero money from it. I wasn't even monetized on YouTube at the time. All I was saying was, hey, if you guys want to do this and you need a realtor, I mean, I can refer you to one. And I would make like $100 every 6 months. it was nothing. Yeah. So I have a firm belief that value should come first. Now, to be fair, I do think that there is kind of like a method to the madness, right? Like, for example, I've posted some rage bait content in the past. It's kind of like a funnel, right? And, just for transparency's sake, you just want as many eyes as possible on the top portion, right? So you could post something like that's rage bait. Or, it could be something like showing off a Bentley, right? just to get the eyes, but then you still need to convert people to actually trust and like you and believe that Section 8 works, because it does, right? And that's where you get, really niche tutorials, really good videos, stuff like that in the middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. And so many people miss that, right? Like, you're not providing any value. Why should people trust you, right? Why would people ever think the strategy works? Like, you're just missing so much info, right? All they see is just a Bentley, right? Throw some tutorials, teach them how to actually invest. That's where so many people that's what I hate about a lot of people in this space. And that's why I have like 3-hour tutorials on my YouTube. Go check that out. If anyone's interested, go check it out. I have like 3-hour tutorials on Section 8 investing. Yeah. Like, the value is there. How long on average do voucher timeframes last for the tenant to finally apply for the property? Usually 60 to 90 days. That's usually how long they can hold a voucher, and like basically hunt for a home. I think Jordan texted me on Instagram saying, "Can you make a video on that guy?" Yeah, I'll peruse some of his content. I'll make a video on him. I don't mind. I just don't know enough about him right now to say if he's good or not. But like, I can do some research. I don't mind. Would be a nice little react video. Man, the weather's pretty crazy. It's snowing like really badly for me right now. It's like 2 or 3 inches of snow in Virginia, which is crazy because yesterday it was 82 degrees. You just never know. Again, anyone interested in my one-on-one mentorship, just DM me. Say you want to join it. Or click the link in my bio or description or whatever you're watching on. There's probably some type of website application that you can fill out. Book a call with my team. See if it's right for you. See if it's right for me. Cost between 4 and 6K, kind of depending on what level of mentorship you need. But we always save you, 10x that amount. Kind of like an accountant. Do you help find the first property? Yeah. So, I literally hold your hand for 6 months or 12 months, kind of depending on, again, the mentorship you get. It really is one-on-one. It's just with me. Like, I'm not giving you a YouTube playlist and ghosting you. It actually is with me. I work as a consultant in the mentorship students scenarios, and I hold your hand, help you pick out areas, help you set up LLCs, get you connected with lenders, realtors, help you negotiate, find homes, close, advertise a Section 8, get a Section 8 approved, and manage long term. Like, I really do help from beginning to end, A to Z. The price difference between like 4 and 6K is really just like, how many homes do you want? And also, do you want turnkeys? Do you want BRRRRs? Because BRRRRs take up a lot more time, etc. Are most of your closings done in person? 0 are done in closing. I'm sorry, 0 closings are done in person. I don't do any closings in person. They're always via remote notary, either an online notary or a local notary. Just goes to your place of goes to your home. Either one. We've done both. If you're buying in cash, you don't even need to do that at all. It's just digital signature, and that's it. Not even a notary. But otherwise, pretty much nothing's done in person. I mean, we'd be like pretty bad investors if we had to spend so much time traveling. What's the typical amount you need for your first property? If you're buying a turnkey home, like 25K US. If you're doing BRRRRs, like 12 to 17. You should have 20 though, just as reserve funds. How much are closing costs typically? If you're using lenders, the calculation is usually $5,500 plus 3% of the home price. That's usually how much closing costs are for, using any type of lender such as DSCR or private money. If you're buying cash, it's just the 3%. Now, we do typically ask for about 2% in seller credit, though. We get it 50-50. Usually 50% of the time we'll get that 2% credit. Man. Oh. So I don't have to be at that state to get a Section 8 property? Correct. I just bought a home in Alabama. I live in Virginia. That's like 14 hours away. I've never seen it and I never will. Man, this cough is killing me. How much can I make with 50K startup? You can get 2 turnkey homes with that, which will get you between $700 and $1,000 net every month after maintenance, after expenses. Or you could do BRRRRs and probably get 3 homes with that. I just got charged $1,400. I love that. I love to see it. Not for anything Section 8 related. It's to like to keep my real estate license. If I wanted to purchase 10 turnkeys under your mentorship in 12 months, would you help from the first property to the last one in that period? Yeah, I will help with, assuming you get the higher, like 6K plan, I will help with every deal you do during that, time frame. I believe first 6 months is like one-on-one, Zoom, everything like that, direct into my calendar, and then the remainder 6 months is mostly just texting. But if I'm being honest, like if you need my help past 6 months, I did something wrong. In fact, a lot of the time we'll have a lot of students just not even use the 6 months. They'll use like 4 or 5 months because they know everything. They don't need it. Like I have a very big saying. If you still need my help after 6 months, one of 2 things happened. 1, you did not contact and meet me nearly enough that you should have. Or 2, I did a really bad job teaching you. So far, only ever one person has ever requested my help past the 6-month marker. And it was because she originally was buying, single family homes, but then at the 6-month marker, she had already bought a home at that point. She decided she wanted to do a 16-unit multifamily. Then she was like, hey, can I have continued support throughout this? Which I agreed to. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Entire new monster. It's a 16-unit apartment complex. Like, you need the help. I get it. So that is the only time anyone's ever said, like, hey, please continue helping me after 6 months. So, you have a property manager to manage the Alabama property for you? No, I don't. I self-manage. People really overestimate how difficult being a landlord is. Like, it really is not hard. People are really overestimating, like, what it means to be, like, an investor and landlord. Like, it's boring. It's really boring. In terms of real estate work, I have done 20 minutes of work in the past month on my portfolio, excluding the management. Including the management. 20 minutes in the past month. The reason being, nobody's put in a repair request the past month on my management software. And on top of that, everybody submitted the rent. No leases are ending. I time my leases to all end in summer, peak season. The 20 minutes I spent was sending money to a contractor, sending a wire transfer. That's it. I done nothing else. Now, I'm not saying that that's how it is every month. Like, obviously, some are more, some are less. But the max for management is really like an hour a week. Anything that you need to do in person, just hire a handyman. Just pay them $50 an hour to do it in person. which there isn't much. I mean, it's just really like what, showing homes and that's it. Nothing else. And even then, you can have a realtor do it too. Have you looked at pre-foreclosures? I've not. I'm not a huge fan of foreclosures. They tend to have a lot of utility and lien issues. And, you know, when I'm scaling and when I'm buying properties and doing other stuff on the side, I don't want to spend the time to handle legal issues. So pretty much every home we buy is just straight MLS, normal, occasionally off market, but that even that in itself is kind of rare. Again, I do have one-on-one mentorship if anyone is interested. For example, Damien, sounded like you were pretty interested in what I got going on. Book a call with my team if you have at least 20 grand. Same with you, .com Alley. Book a call. See if the one-on-one mentorship's right for you. Even if you think you don't need it, you probably do, and not in like a I'm insulting you type of way, but in like a I will save you 10x what I cost. It's like an accountant. If I cost $1, I'll save you 10. A few weeks ago, I'm sorry, not even a few weeks ago. This was like 2 days ago. A student of mine was like, "Hey, I'm about to submit an offer for this house. I looked at the numbers. It looks great. I'm gonna do it right now." And I immediately went, "No, please don't," because they didn't realize on the street view that all of the homes surrounding them were multis. They thought they were all single families, which means that they were buying the most expensive home in the block, which is really bad as an investment. And also, it was just a bad area, right? It looked fine on street view, but that's because the street view itself was 10 years old, right? And I just happened to, I know the area already. And I told them like, "Hey, this is a really bad area." We confirmed it with my realtor. They were trying to do like an off-market deal. I confirmed it with my realtor. My realtor was like, "Please don't buy there." That single-handedly saved them 6 months of vacancy and issues. That alone. How much is mentorship? And definitely close to the amount. Just need a little more time. Between 4 and 6K, kind of depending on what you need. You know, 4K if you need just like one home, maybe two, maybe turnkey. 6K if it's like, hey, you need a lot of my help, a lot of my attention, because you are, you know, doing burrs, for example. On YouTube, where do you purchase property? Do you have contacts already to handle any repairs like plumber, electrician, etc.? Or you look for them individually? We have pretty much every contractor you'll ever need in every market that has homes under 100K. And if we don't, for whatever reason, let's say, for example, this happened recently. One of my contractors retired. We have really good realtors, and they have a whole list. In fact, this is actually something you're trained to do as a realtor. It's something I even was trained to do. When you get into real estate and you get close to your like first closing, your broker almost always tells you, "Hey, now you need to make your contractor list," which basically is a list of the best contractors they know in the area for best prices that they can recommend any client. Pretty much every realtor has one. It's usually part of your training, more or less. So if you get a really good realtor, they're going to have really good contractors. And we have really good realtors. Ever done any wholesaling? No. I'm not a huge fan of wholesaling. I think that, funny enough, I uploaded a video about this, a TikTok about this not too long ago, like a day or two ago. I think maybe that's God punishing me for talking bad about wholesalers. Wholesalers, first off, it's a full-time job. People that try to do it as a side hustle almost always fail. You need the time to do wholesaling. Number two, how do I put this lightly? A wholesaler will say or do anything to make the deal happen, regardless of ethics. One time I saw a wholesaler straight up lie about an inspection report because they were hiding mold. They knew mold would kill a deal. They just hit it. I had to ask like 4 times over the course of a week for the inspection report because they just refused to give it. I'm close to the 25K mark saved up. With that amount, I can get one property. Correct. One turnkey, or you could get one burr starting right now. Our average burr does, it costs 12 to 17K. So, Damien, I think it's worth at least booking a call with our team. So that way, you can get in a call with my buddy Alan. He's our, head of partnerships, handles all incoming calls. So he can kind of explain the differences a little bit better. And maybe you're ready to start, man. Maybe you're just ready and don't realize it. DM me or just click the link in my bio. That's probably faster. Click the link in my bio. It'll lead you to like an application, a website to book a call. Alan's a chill guy. You met him? Nice. Talked with him today. I talk with him most days, honestly. Just to determine if the property is a good investment besides vacancy rates, what are other things one must look at? Spot crime, Google Street View. Two biggest things. Nobody wants to live in a dangerous area, no matter how poor they are, right? You need a minimum of safety. Oh man, I gotta pee so badly. But I don't want to get up. What's the risk you see when having Section 8s? You need to do tenant screening pretty well. I think that if you don't know how to tenant screen, there's a lot of room for error, right? You hear about those monster tenants you can have. Those exist, right? But it's not the majority. In fact, I would say it's the minority. But, if one slips into your property, then you're going to have a really bad taste in your mouth. So you got to make sure you screen really well for these tenants. Cody, welcome. Oh, another Joseph came in. Welcome. Skyflow, welcome. By the way, since there's a lull in the chat right now, what kind of content do you guys want to see from me? I feel like that's a very big question that I want to ask my audience directly. If I could make another video, what would it be? Like, what are some of the questions you guys got? What do you guys want to know? What do you guys want to see explained in a 20-minute video or a TikTok? Do you ever consider just doing normal rentals and not Section 8? We do normal rentals about a fourth of the time. Simply because we have to legally advertise to everybody. And once in a while, a decent regular tenant, 800 score comes in, is willing to pay the price. And we just go, okay, that's fine, whatever. They want to pay it. They're a good tenant. Okay, sure. That's only about a fourth of the time. Otherwise, we really like the guaranteed rents from the government. What do I consider the best states? Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. There we go. Those are the best. You're doing a live example of what's going on in Zillow, for example, and seeing if it produces cash flow. It's a pretty good idea. Oh, you know what? I think you would like the video I made. Admittedly, it's not like I'm doing burrs in it. I'm doing turnkeys. But I believe I made a video called like not sleeping until I find 10 Section 8 deals. I think that's what the video was. It's on my YouTube channel. Go check it out. Are agents bringing you deals? Yeah, a lot of the time they are. Wholesalers bring me deals. Agents bring me deals. Once you buy one, they kind of know that you're legit, and they start bringing you stuff. Single family home that has a business plaza on the street or in a corner or multifamily on the street, does that kill your interest for a deal? Most of the time, yes. mainly because of noise. People don't realize noise is very, very annoying for a tenant. That sounds like it's going to be right next to a main road. Not great. What about Tennessee? I don't know enough about Tennessee if I'm being completely honest, but really just you have to do an inventory check. Two things. Do the homes hit 1.3% rule, which means it has to rent for at least 1.3% of the purchase price via Section 8. And two, is there enough inventory in the price range you're looking at? If there's only 10 homes under 100K, then no chance. But if, there's a healthy inventory and most homes are hitting 1.3%, then sure, that's a viable market. What percent does the government pay out to people who own Section 8 properties? Between 70 to 100%. The actual calculation is that they look at the Section 8 tenant's bank statement, right? They have to submit them every month. They look at the bank statement and they count out the income that's regular. Then they just say, okay, 1/3 of this is going to your rent. So if a tenant has $1,000 a month income from McDonald's that they work at, they have to pay roughly $300 to $400 to their landlord, and the government will pick up the rest. What type of renters are best? Section 8. Section 8 that currently Section 8 tenants who have a pretty good payment history with their current landlord, as well as actually that's most of it. No evictions, no bankruptcies, no violent criminal record. That's kind of what we look for. For your first property, would you be very against buying in a different state than where you live? No, in fact, I recommend it. Every single student in my mentorship is buying out of state. Oh, except for one. You know what? There's one that already lives in Detroit, so they're just investing there. But yeah, pretty much everybody else is investing out of state. People have a really bad stigma against it, but it's really not as bad as people think. And of course, if you're in my mentorship, I can hold your hand and make sure you don't make any mistakes. On Instagram, if I have, let's say, 200K to invest, would you recommend buying at 100% 2 or 3 properties so you can have bigger cash flow? Or would you buy with debt, being a foreign investor? It depends what strategy you want to use, but generally you probably buy it in cash and then refinance after. That's probably the better way to go about it. Because once you have a tenant in place, once a lender sees it's cash flowing, they're willing to put more favorable terms because they know it's cash flowing well, right? So they might be allowing more equity to stay in the property, for example. So yeah, I'd probably buy them cash, refi after. What if the tenant doesn't pay their share, but the government does? What happens then? You treat it like any other non-payment. Give them a warning, tell them pay up, late fee, etc. Then threaten eviction. It's just like any other tenant. They're not paying. Granted, it's a lot easier to and this is kind of just like something that for some reason people don't think about. They're like, oh, the tenant's not going to pay their $200. They're terrible tenants. If you owe $200 to someone versus $1,500, you're going to feel a lot better about paying the $200 because you're going to go, oh, perfect, I can pay it in full, right? If you only have $200 and you have a $1,500 balance, they're going to go, I may as well buy more groceries. It's not getting paid anyways. I may as well, upgrade my phone. So it's more of a psychological thing, right? If they can clear it in one go, they will generally. But if they can't, then they go, what's the point? That's why I always think, even though the tenant portion's small, right? They still usually pay it because they can. People don't just not pay rent because they hate their landlord. They don't pay rent because they can't. They don't have the money to pay it in full. So, yeah. On top of that, otherwise, you just call the housing authority, say, hey, John Doe didn't pay the rent, and then they can either start an eviction or shape up. Most of the time, they shape up because they don't want to lose their voucher. Why don't more real estate investors invest in Section 8? There's just a really bad name behind it. So many people don't like Section 8 because of pretty much what I just said. So much bad stigmas around Section 8 tenants. Like, people think they're terrible people and such, when in reality, they're just like veterans, the disabled, the elderly. So much bad bad publicity around it, even though they're really good. Yeah, people think they're all crackheads. Not true. That's 100% correct. And it's not true at all. And again, tenant screening helps you avoid the crackheads. I have 30 to 50K liquid. I want to do an FHA loan. Would you be able to help? I don't know if I want to do Section 8 or normal. Would you be able to help? Of course. In fact, that's what like 3 of my other students are doing. Oh, you know what? I just uploaded on YouTube. You'd love this video. You'd love this video, Joseph. Go on my YouTube. It's like the 3rd most recent or something. It's with this, it's with one of my students who is doing exactly that. He bought a duplex with 17 grand and he's going to rent out half of it to Section 8. And he's living in half of it. Go check out that video. It's like 30 minutes long. It's perfectly what you're describing. And we just finished that up. Go check that out, Joseph. I think it's called like This Student Lives for Free or something like that. I don't remember. It's a picture of a guy in a suit and tie. But yeah, it's a great example and pretty much exactly what you want to do. I can totally help with that. Do you think investing in Section 8 is also affected by the weather, mostly winters and markets you wanted to buy? Yes, actually. That's why I always recommend to stay away from like Detroit and Cleveland and Ohio in general between October and February. We just say don't invest there, go to the Midwest, more South, more Midwest, Texas, Indiana, Alabama, Mississippi, places like that. And then, come March, you can go back up north. In fact, that's exactly what a lot of my students are doing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I need to use the bathroom, and also it's been over an hour. Again, anyone interested in one-on-one mentorship, please just DM me or click the link in bio/description. It'll lead to, my website where you can fill out my form and book a call with my team. Again, we really do save you a ton of money, help you avoid mistakes. It's with me directly, not with anyone else. So if interested, again, DM me or just click the link in my bio. I'm going to end it here. We'll probably go live probably over the weekend, maybe Saturday. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and see you guys.